What do you want to talk about? We can talk about state sports.
We'll roll into state sports. Biggest. Look at me. I got a state sports.
Take it
start
away.
here.
Take it away, Jack, with the MSU sports recap.
We'll start with the Mississippi State softball. The ladies were in Lubbock this weekend. Went 1-2.
2-2. Beat Washington twice.
You're right. Beat Washington twice, but they went 2-2. They basically beat Washington and lost to Texas Tech. They beat Washington and lost to Texas Tech. Good season from them. They fought hard, especially in that second Texas Tech game. They made things as interesting as they could. But Texas Tech was hosting a regional for a reason. Was clearly just a very good ball club. So nothing to be ashamed of there. But their season is over. Outlook for next season? I know the center fielder's gone or whatever.
The center fielder is gone. Raylan Chafin, our best pitcher, will be gone. Potentially a catcher. I'm not positive. I know Kylie Edwards has a year left. I know Morgan Stiles, our second baseman and shortstop, both have a year left. Or some of them have multiple years left. I don't know about the rest of the roster off the top of my head.
There's a couple of big holes to fill.
Yeah, catcher at least one catcher will be back. Ella Wesolowski, who she picked off like 50% of base runners or something.
That's insane.
People that were trying to steal, she picked off 50%. It was like 49%, I think. So those are the only girls I know off the top of my head definitely have years left. But we had a really good recruiting class last year of girls that haven't, like Morgan Stiles is the only freshman that I saw that started.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have other girls that were on the bench just because the team was so good.
Yeah.
That I hope to see stick around and play next year. But yeah, it was an awesome season. Let me pull up the notes actually, because we did some really cool stuff this season. We set the team home run record for the fifth time under Samantha Ricketts. And it's also our fifth time cracking 70. So all 5 of those have been under the current head coach. So she's done such an awesome job here, kind of building this into a pretty good program, especially in the SEC, where it's like playing softball in the SEC is hard, especially with the introduction of Texas and Oklahoma. But it was a really cool season. Attendance was up, and part of that was, due to baseball being down. So everyone was like, well, let's go watch the other spring sport.
Sure.
But super, super awesome season. But I'm excited to see what happens next season. Like, I'm already thinking about that. I'm wired in for that.
Well, sorry. I mean, this season's over. That's the
true.
The natural progression of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like from an outsider looking in, the program's finally in a place that it's not normally in, of like being able to replace stuff.
Yeah. And reload and not rebuild?
Yes. Have some consistent steam towards being a good team.
Yeah.
So that was one thing from this weekend. Mississippi State baseball rolled into Missouri, as JP mentioned, and did what almost everyone in the SEC has done to Missouri, and that is sweep them and crush them. The only team to not was my Aggies, who got swept by them last weekend. And the more I watched this weekend, I was like, how in the world did we get swept by this team?
I don't know.
Because Missouri's bad. Like, they can't play defense.
Missouri made us look like
they can't pitch.
We would win a national championship any year we played baseball.
Yes. So the Aggies, State is now an 8-1 in SEC games since firing Lemonis, which is huge. They're rolling into the SEC tournament with some serious steam.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting to see how that goes, because as I've thought about it, this team is clearly playing the best ball of their season. But they also have had a slightly easier back-end stretch of the SEC
Very true.
play, so I'm curious how they play against Arkansas and the Texases and the LSUs. Not trying to diminish anything they've done over the past couple weeks, but just want to see how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, I will say that
Ole Miss and Kentucky, who they beat, are not bad at all.
Right, I was about to say Ole Miss and Kentucky are. I don't know off the top of my head where they rank in the SEC. Not great. They're both in the bottom half of the SEC. Oh, I got it right here. They finished 13th and 7th. So Ole Miss is 7th, Kentucky is 13th, but that's also in the SEC. These are two teams. Kentucky hosted a regional last year, I believe. I believe they were a top 8 national seed last year. And then Ole Miss was a top 10 program probably a month ago.
Yeah.
So two teams that might have peaked or Kentucky was good last year and has not been as good this year. Ole Miss might have peaked too early and has struggled down the back half of the season, but these are still two good baseball teams.
100%.
Kentucky, we swept and run ruled twice, maybe. I'm not positive. And then Ole Miss, I think we run ruled once, but not positive. The games all kind of run together in my head. But some pretty confident assertive wins against both those teams, and then a very assertive weekend against Missouri. Game one, let me go back and look at it was a very odd weekend.
We'll put up like 25 runs in game one.
Yeah, it was
Scored like 10 in the top of the ninth or something
yeah,
like that.
and Hunter Hines he had 2 of his home runs in that top of the ninth.
Yeah, I mean, JP already mentioned it, but while you're pulling it up, I mean, Hunter Hines set the home run record for Mississippi State this weekend. Has been one of the best power hitters Mississippi State has ever seen, which is like, duh, because he just set the home run record. But he's a guy that loves the school, I would say. I mean, he got drafted last year and chose to come back.
He got drafted last year.
And so just clearly loves being here. Has been a little up and down in his time. Has definitely gone through some hitting slumps. But he can crank one over the fence. And so 69
69
home runs?
now.
Yeah,
He broke the record at 68.
Held by
Rafael
Palmeiro.
Palmeiro.
Yep.
And then he hit his 69th the next day. So that was a really wild game to be watching because it felt like anything that went in the air was going over the fence.
Yeah.
That's game 2, the Friday game, which shout out the SEC for knowing to have every team play Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, when trying to get him a little rest before
one of the
SEC
smartest
tournament.
things I think I've ever seen our conference do.
It sounds weird to say it's one of the smartest things they ever do because it sounds like a duh thing to have everyone play Thursday, Friday, Saturday before the conference tournament.
Yeah.
But it's something they would have.
Yeah.
Something SC overlooks.
Like
things like that
I saw
very
that
often.
I saw that was the way the schedule played out, and I was impressed, which
Yeah.
is sad. Anyway, but that was pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah, Hunter Hines. I was watching that game, and it felt like everything that went in the air was just over the fence. Ace Reese had 2, Hines had 2.
Bryce Chance hit a homer.
Bryce Chance had 1 that was an absolute nuke over the bullpen. I think it might have left the park because their outfield is pretty small outfield.
Leaving the park doesn't necessarily have the same ring as leaving the park in the MLB, but
Or-
still cool.
Yes. And then Noah Sullivan had 1. So just and I don't know if it's the wind. I don't know if it's just Missouri's pitchers are that bad.
I mean, they carry a team ERA of like 8 or something like that.
Yeah. At one point, I think in the 9th, when we were putting up all those runs, they brought in a guy to try and stop the bleeding who had an ERA of 15.
Yeah, I mean that's not
And
even,
everyone was like, well, this is going to go really well. But yeah, it was. I wish I had all of the box scores up faster because just looking back over this. Oh, big news. I didn't even think that we have to address is 2 injuries from the weekend. Garrick Fry and Joe Powell. Garrick Fry went down. I wasn't watching at this point. I believe it was in the top of the first. He got hurt running the bases, scored a run, but did not go in to play defense. Instead, we put in Reed Stallman, who proceeded to have a home run, which
shout
was
out Reed.
Yeah, Reed Stallman is another fantastic 2 home runs. Reed had 2 home runs. Wow, jeez. We hit 8. I think that was the most we've had in 20-something years in SEC play.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty solid number. Can't scoff at that.
But Garrick Fry goes down. He's our left fielder. Has been batting like 330 something. So he's been playing very well. But his injury is a little scary. Joe Powell hurt his back, I believe, on it was either a bunt or like a grounder that just died in front of the pitcher that Powell goes out to get. Throws it down to first, gets the guy out, but immediately just kind of goes to one knee and like starts grabbing his back, and you could tell that like it was not writhing in pain, but it did not look
Isn't
like it
he
felt
the
good.
backup?
No, Joe Powell's been our starter since Parker took over. So Ross Highfield started, and Powell would play some.
Highfield's the one that can't hit.
Highfield hits about 215, 220.
Gotcha.
Powell has been hitting probably, I don't know, I'm going to guess 260.
Gotcha.
It's going to be 260 with a lot more home runs is my guess. I can pull it up. But he's been honestly a huge boost to our lineup. Powell has, and I'll be the first to say last year, I don't think he hit well, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm misremembering, but watching him, you remember this,
Well, that was early this year. I
Yeah,
think that's why I asked if he was the backup.
Yeah, we were watching a game, and Powell comes in, he like pinch hit or something, and I said, oh man, like, well, here's a freaking strikeout, and he nuked one. And I was like, all right, I stand corrected. But he definitely Where are his season statistics? Here we go. He's batting 280. He's batting 280 with 9 home runs, it looks like.
It's pretty good.
7 home runs. So, and then Highfield's batting like 220 with like 3 or 4 home runs. So, not a whole lot. But Powell did, that injury happened on Friday, I think. It was earlier in the weekend, and then in a later game, he went through all the warm-ups and just didn't play. So, not exactly sure what the timeline for both those injuries is. I feel like the Powell injury is definitely on the shorter end. We did get to see Nolan Stevens back. I'm not sure if he's been dealing with injury or if it's just been a coaching decision thing.
Sure.
But he played well, I believe. Oh, hold on. Let's see. Tucker is in the chat. He's going to explain all the baseball stuff we missed, probably. I hope. Oh, Kentucky was 2 overall last year. So
yeah,
I was right.
They were really good.
Which doesn't affect this year, but that is just my point was that, like, this is the SEC baseball program.
Yeah. I think my point is just, like, this team has caught a hot streak that is undeniably very exciting. But if they go out and lose a game to Arkansas in a single elimination tournament or something like that, let's not act shocked or get upset.
Yeah.
If any of you are wondering, I mean, if you're watching, why my finger is making the same motion over and over again, I'm refreshing Twitter because A&M is down 1 in the bottom of the 7th with 2 outs.
That's scary.
And 2 on in an elimination game, and we'd be the first overall seed, number 1 overall seed in softball to not make it out of the regional.
Let's pull it up on the iPad real quick.
So I'm hoping this doesn't. I don't know if I want to watch, honestly. This is bad.
There you go. It's 1-2.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well,
Good
that's high.
take. So they're down 1, 2 outs, bottom of the 7th. Runners on first and second, 2-2.
We got scammed.
Can
by,
you tell us about this girl? Do you know her name?
It's Kramer Achette is her name, but I couldn't really tell you that much about her.
Okay.
We got scammed by getting Liberty in our regional, to be honest.
I'm stressful for you. This is terrifying. Oh, this.
Full count. Bro, it's been a rough weekend for us.
For the Aggies?
Baseball, basically, their postseason hopes officially got snuffed out.
Yeah.
We lost. So you can turn it off.
That's tough.
Our women's tennis team lost in the championship, the national championship to Georgia. And then we just lost in softball.
The first ever number 1 overall seed to not make it out of the regional?
Yep.
That's tough.
Because our ace couldn't get anyone out, which is just doesn't make tons of sense, but it's how it went down.
Yep.
We make history in the wrong way. Liberty, I don't know. That hurts. But yeah, men's tennis, you can talk about men's tennis.
Yeah, men's tennis lost in the Elite 8 to, who did they lose to? Stanford, I believe. A very close match. We lost the doubles point, and then after losing the doubles point, we went down 3-0, stormed back to make it 3-3, and then lost the 7th point. I believe it was like a 3-set point too, or whatever. I think that's the right word. It basically went down to like the last possible point, and we lost it. That was pretty tough as a state fan. That team has been a really big bright spot in our athletics. They've been very good and super fun to watch. Frey banged his knee. Yeah. Tucker said that he thinks both Powell and Fry should both be back by regionals, which is exciting.
Huge.
But that men's tennis team has been really fun to watch, very exciting. We have the number 1 ranked doubles team in the country, and those guys are both very good at singles too. So it's been awesome. They've been a top 15 team all season. We hosted a regional, won that regional, went to Ohio State, got the upset, and won that super regional, and then went on to the Elite 8 in Stanford, lost there. So into the season there, but also once again looking to next season because it's once the season's over.
Natural reaction to what you do.
We are only losing 1 senior, and he is not a part of that doubles team. So we're returning, I think, our top 4 players. I think that our senior played court 5 or 6, but I'm not positive. So super exciting to get those guys back. I'm excited to see what happens there. So I think that might be all that I have for Mississippi State recap. It's been a really good and bad weekend. It's good that the softball team made it to the regional and like took Texas Tech and played them a little close. Sad they lost. Good that the tennis team made the Elite Eight, but sad that they lost. And then baseball is just good all around. So